Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about what time you should begin fasting in Ramadan. Most people will begin fasting when they hear the adhan for the Fajr prayer, but let's see what the Quran says about what time you should begin fasting. The relevant verse is verse 187 of chapter 2. It reads, "And eat and drink until the white thread of dawn becomes distinct to you from its black thread." Now, obviously, it's not talking about, sewing thread, but, when you look out at the horizon in the morning around dawn, you would, see twilight. You would see darkness in the sky, but you'll also see, some light coming up from the sun that is below the horizon. And there will be a time when there will appear to be some sort of line that differentiates the two, night and dark, night and day and light from the sun. This is a picture of dawn. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily how the sky should look or the horizon should look when you should begin fasting, but this is close to what I'm talking about. Now, we know the Arabic word for dawn is Fajr, and everyone's familiar with the Fajr prayer if you're a Muslim. Now, there are different phases of dawn. Scientists have come up with these different terms. There's astronomical dawn, there's nautical dawn, and civil dawn, and they have to do with how far below the sun is from the horizon. So when it's nighttime, the sun is below the horizon, but when the center of the sun reaches 18 degrees below the horizon, that is the beginning of astronomical dawn. When the center of the sun reaches 12 degrees, that is the beginning of nautical dawn, or nautical twilight. And the sun continues to move up, and when the center of it reaches 6 degrees below the horizon, that is civil dawn. And when the center of the sun reaches the horizon, that is the beginning of sunrise. And so if you were out at sea, for example, and you had no obstacles in front of you, like you have in the city with buildings everywhere, when you see half of the sun above the horizon, then that is the beginning of sunrise. Of course, at that point, it's too late to start fasting because there would be too much light in the sky. Now, the website timeanddate.com, which focuses on various aspects of time and dates and sunrise and the sun and the moon, they define astronomical dawn as twilight, as being when twilight is so faint that it is generally indistinguishable from night. So this rules out that the beginning of when you should fast is at astronomical dawn, because to the human eye, you cannot really distinguish between night and day at this point. Now, the next term is nautical dawn, or also called first light, and it is described as the sunlight reflected by the atmosphere is now generally sufficient to distinguish the sky from land and water in clear weather conditions. Now, this is also called first light because it's the first point of dawn when the sun's light, not the sun itself, all right, the sun's light. So the sun is still below the horizon, but of course you can see some of the light from the sun peeking out from the horizon. So this is the first point of dawn when the sun's light is noticeable to the human eye, right? Now, obviously, when the Quran was revealed in the 7th century, we did not have fancy sensors to check when, there would be light in the sky. So it's reasonable to assume that what is meant from that verse was that, people would see the twilight of night and day, or the sun, using their own eyes. And they probably didn't have a lot of big buildings back then. So you could just kind of look out into the horizon and see, oh, yeah, I can see twilight at this point. And so this description of nautical dawn matches up pretty well with the description of when you should begin your fast in the Quran. And it's also, this term is also called first light, which makes it easy to understand that this is most likely the correct time when you should begin your fast. So we know from experience that astronomical dawn is usually taken to be the beginning of when you should pray Fajr, the Fajr prayer. And so when the call to the adhan, the Fajr adhan, that usually takes place at the beginning of astronomical dawn, but we have just determined that the beginning of fast should be at nautical dawn, or first light, which is at some time after astronomical dawn. So now from experience, many Muslims they begin their fast when they hear the adhan for the Fajr prayer. There's a website called Ramadan Kareem calendar.com, and just as an example, they are saying that on March 20th, 2020, in San Francisco, the time to begin your fast is at 6 in the morning. Now, I took a screenshot of timeanddate.com so we can compare, and for that same location and date, we find that, 6 in the morning doesn't correspond to any of these time periods for dawn, not astronomical dawn, nautical dawn. We find that astronomical dawn is at 5:44 in the morning, and nautical dawn, or first light, is at 6:15 in the morning. And so the website Ramadan Kareem calendar, which is telling you that you should begin fasting at 6 in the morning, I don't know how they calculated that, but I think the analysis that I've just provided, which shows that first light is at nautical dawn, and that corresponds with the beginning of when you should fast. For that date, that should be at 6:15 in the morning, not at 6 in the morning. And so you actually, had 15 more minutes if you were still eating. Now, of course, these scientific terms, astronomical and nautical, dawn, they're not very user-friendly. And so, fortunately, these apps that you can download on your phone, like the Google Weather app, Yahoo Weather app, or this one here is a screenshot of the Weather Underground app. It conveniently just tells you what time first light is, which again, first light is a synonym for nautical dawn. And we see that first light on, in this example, is at 5:16 in the morning, whereas sunrise is at 5:47 in the morning. But of course, sunrise is too late, because at that point, you could see half of the sun. So really all you need to do in Ramadan, when you want to determine when you need to stop eating, just download one of these apps and see when first light is, and most likely you will find that first light is sometime after the adhan, the adhan for the Fajr prayer, or when you see these timetables, these printed timetables of when Fajr is and when you should begin fasting. Most likely, first light is sometime, I don't know, not very long, maybe 15 minutes after the call to the Fajr prayer. So to conclude, you start fasting at first light or nautical dawn, not when you hear the Fajr prayer adhan or astronomical dawn. So if you're still eating, when you hear the adhan, don't freak out. You've still got maybe 15 minutes. And like I said, you can just download one of those apps and just see when first light is. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please subscribe to be notified of more.